Though again, sounds almost pompous to say it, but I guess there are three phases. I started out very much in the middle and later 1950s as a kind of romantic revivalist, you might say, arguing against T.S. Eliot and what in those days was called the New Criticism, down through, as I would define it, William Butler Yeats, Hart Crane, D.H. Lawrence, Wallace Stevens. And then I passed into a kind of long middle phase. Any of us, myself certainly included, fully understand, including the very complicated question of the influence of a mind, a more or less creative mind, upon itself. Especially fascinating, of course, where, with the greatest of writers, Shakespeare, where we have no information whatsoever as to his inner life or inward being, so that we have to surmise it. But in any case, I stayed at that for quite a long time, until Chelsea House Books, and moved by the necessity of writing less esoterically and with more clarity for people who would include high school students. I think learned to handle these things very differently. And I would be reading, and I still remember that occasionally as she walked by, she would rub the top of my head. And, you know, I always wanted to read. I still remember, obsessive reader as I was when I was 11 or 12 years old. I don't know, but I guess I would like to teach, reading poems. And he said, there are places, sounds like a joke, called Harvard and Yale. I had never heard of them. I must have inherited from some Talmudic ancestor or other an amazing reading speed when I was young, and a simply scandalous verbal memory. The reading speed is certainly not the horror it was when I was a little one. It has slowed down to moderate scale now. But the memory, fortunately for me, it has always given me a great advantage. And no one, I believe, in the whole tradition of what could be called a canonical tradition of any kind, no one that I know of, except, of course, people who have been defining scriptural, that is to say, religious canons. By the way, I must apologize to the audience. I'm still on so many medications in my long recovery that they produce these unhappy side effects, including a dry mouth and a running nose. So do accept my apology for that. It can't be helped. No one ever intended, except, as I say, those who were making and trying to promulgate scriptural canons, no one ever intended that a list should be definitive, or that the canon should be exclusive. Of that generation as yet in the United States or Great Britain. But oddly enough, it seems to me, well, perhaps it's not so odd. I mean, there are such extraordinary novelists in the United States. What has happened to the departments of what I would like to still call literature, but they mostly are not, or many of them are not, or only in part are they that. And also, I'm not very happy with the media. I find it I would find it excruciating if I still tried to read which is of course an amazing statement to make about a character in a 20th century American novel. The book is a terrifying vision, historically grounded in a very vicious band of freebooters or filibusters led by a really murderous fellow named Glanton, Glanton. The two modes live side by side. And, at Yale, for instance, though I can see the inroads, particularly in American studies, which seems to me wholly gone. One of my research assistants last year came in to work with me one day, sort of shaking her head, and I said, "What is it, dear?" And she said, "I just come from a 2-hour seminar on Walt Whitman, which was entirely devoted to the instructor telling us that Walt Whitman was a racist," at which one can only throw up one's hands. I mean, it's abominable and unforgivable, whoever that teacher was.